On November 12th, U.S. President Donald Trump signed a law ending the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. This occurred just hours after the House of Representatives voted to restore food aid, pay hundreds of thousands of federal employees, and fix the disrupted air traffic control system. The law allows federal employees who were sidelined by the 43-day shutdown to return to work starting November 13th. However, it is still unclear how quickly government services and operations will be fully restored. "We must never allow this to happen again," Trump said during an evening signing ceremony in the Oval Office. He also used the opportunity to criticize Democrats. "This is no way to run a country," he said. The deal extends government funding until January 30th. According to Reuters, this will continue to add approximately $1.8 trillion annually to the federal government's $38 trillion debt.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Minister of Justice Herman Galushchenko and Sviatlana Grinchuk, who holds the post of Minister of Energy, could not remain in their positions. This address was made on November 12th amidst a corruption investigation at Energoatom. "This is a matter of trust. If there are accusations, they must be answered. The decision on suspension from duties is a swift, most urgent measure. I ask the Prime Minister of Ukraine to accept resignation letters from these ministers. I appeal to the deputies of the Verkhovna Rada to support these applications. Then everything must be resolved in the legal field," said Zelensky. He also announced the signing of the decision by the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine regarding sanctions against the two individuals mentioned in this case. Later, the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko, wrote that she had introduced the proposal to impose sanctions on Timur Mindich, an associate of Zelensky and owner of the Kvartal 95 studio, and financier Alexander Zuckerman. Both had left Ukraine shortly before the searches related to the Energoatom case. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine announced this week that a large-scale corruption scheme at the state company Energoatom had been exposed. According to the official statement, the criminal organization regularly received illegal income from Energoatom counterparties in the amount of 10 to 15% of the contract value. Specifically, counterparties were required to pay a kickback in order not to be deprived of their supplier status.
On November 12, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio attended the G7 Group of Seven Foreign Ministers meeting held in Canada's Niagara region. Although the talks focused on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, some countries attending the meeting expressed concern about the Trump administration's strikes against ships in the Caribbean Sea. In recent months, the U.S. military has carried out at least 19 strikes in the Caribbean and on the Pacific coasts against ships suspected of transporting narcotics. As a result, at least 76 people have been killed. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot said on Tuesday before the meeting that these strikes violate international law and pose a concern for France's territories in the region. However, Rubio told journalists before departing from Canada that no one at the G7 meeting had approached him about these operations. He also stated that the strikes, which target narco-terrorists, are also preventing drugs from being shipped to Europe. "I don't think the European Union defines what international law is. They certainly don't get to define how the U.S. protects its national security," Rubio said. He said the U.S. had not asked anyone for intelligence assistance for these strikes. The United States justifies its actions by citing Article 51 of the United Nations Charter. This article requires states to immediately inform the UN Security Council when they take self-defense measures against an armed attack. Last month, a group of independent UN experts acknowledged the U.S. explanations, but they stated that even if these allegations are confirmed, the use of lethal force in international waters without a legal basis violates international maritime law and could amount to an extrajudicial execution. In 2025, the number of migrants who have died trying to cross the Mediterranean to Central Europe has already exceeded 1,000. The UN's International Organization for Migration, IOM, warns that the death toll continues to rise with each new tragedy. Specifically, in the latest incident on November 8th near the Libyan coast,
a rubber dinghy capsized. More than 40 African migrants who were on board died. According to survivors, there were 49 migrants and refugees on the boat. Approximately 6 hours after setting off, high waves disabled its engine. Only 7 men survived. They survived by floating in the sea for 6 days, clinging to various objects. The remaining 42 people are missing and presumed dead. Another tragedy for migrants and refugees on the central Mediterranean route to Europe once again highlights the constant dangers they face, the organization said in a statement. The organization reiterated its call to strengthen regional cooperation and expand safe and legal migration pathways.
On November 12, a bus plunged into a deep ravine on mountainous roads connecting Peru and Chile. As a result, at least 37 people died and dozens were injured. Local media reported that the bus collided with a pickup truck on a turn, went off the road, and fell 200 meters down to the bank of the Acona River. There were 60 passengers on the bus. Photos from the scene showed the bus stuck in mud at the bottom of a steep ravine, with its windows completely broken, its body severely damaged, and its roof torn off. Both drivers survived. Officials stated that police experts will determine the cause of the crash. According to health officials, 36 people died at the scene and 1 person died at the hospital. Another 25 people are being treated at a local hospital. The prosecutor's office announced that an investigation into the incident has been launched and the pickup driver has been detained. Bus crashes are common in Peru, especially at night and on mountain roads. This is often related to poor road conditions, excessive speed, and a lack of safety signs.
The bodies of 19 soldiers have been recovered from the crash of a Turkish military cargo plane that went down near the Georgia-Azerbaijan border on Tuesday. The search for one remaining victim continues. Speaking at an AK party meeting in Ankara on Wednesday, President Erdogan stated that the plane's black box has been found and an investigation has begun. He said, "We are closely monitoring the work at the crash site, and all necessary investigations will be carried out flawlessly to clarify every aspect of the incident." He mentioned that, along with Turkey, all resources from Georgia and Azerbaijan have been mobilized for the rescue. Erdogan cautioned against disinformation regarding the crash and urged not to give opportunities to those engaged in dirty work. Currently, Turkish drones and a 46-person investigation team are working at the site to investigate the crash. It is reported that the bodies of all soldiers will be brought to Turkey. That's all we have for you today. See you next time.